Book one one is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. Change your relationship with money. Change your life. Entrepreneur and founder of Reconstructing Wealth. No other than Mr. Matt Morizio.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be on your show.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Matt. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up actually just outside of Boston. I don't live there now. Now I live in sunny Charleston, South Carolina. But the two cities are really similar, so I guess maybe I have a type. um,
Yes.
but I also have 7 children. I've been married to my wife, who's my best friend, for 14 years. Um, my former life, I chased the dream of playing professional baseball and now apply a lot of that mindset and wiring and what it took to get there to entrepreneurship. I look at entrepreneurship today as my new sport. So that's really my hobby outside of, well, I like to categorize my life in 4 buckets: faith, family, fitness, and finance. That's basically it. And with 7 children, I need guardrails, and because I have such limited time, that those guardrails tend to serve me the best to be able to make decisions within those guardrails. And anything that falls outside of it right now is, I got to say no.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Matt, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing
Thank you,
your
everybody.
knowledge and wisdom to the world.
It's great.
Yes, so let's think about how to change your relationship with money and why that matters. What does it mean to have a healthy relationship with money, and why is it important for personal and professional growth?
Yeah, to me, I think to have a healthy personal relationship with money, the goal, although I'm going to tell you it's impossible to actually 100% hit this goal, but the goal is to emotionally detach from money. To me, if you are emotionally detached from your finances, then you have a healthy relationship with your money, because you see money for what it is. Money is no more than just an exchange of value. I do this for you. You think that's valuable enough to pay me something, and that's how we do the deal. Like, money is the thing that we exchanged, besides my work, your money. So I think if we can emotionally detach from money, what that does is that frees us up to be, I think, who we're created to be more present with our spouses, with our children, in our work, in our community, with what we're doing. I've had thousands of conversations with people about money at this point, and I'm here to tell you that the reason I named my firm Reconstructing Wealth is because I know that we all have some jacked up level of relationship with money. And if I can reconstruct that in people's lives, I've experienced it firsthand, and then I've seen it in the lives of countless clients, that their lives start to change because that weight is off their back. I think behind health pressure, I've seen financial pressure be, I think, the second most difficult weight to carry in a marriage, in a relationship, in a life, outside of health pressure. I think health pressure is a clear number one, but money is a second place to me.
Yes, indeed. Money, come to me. Changing, changing the way our generation uses money. Can you explain this phrase on your website?
Yeah, I chose the language to be pretty particular. I want to use money. I don't want to spend money. If you use it, you invest it. If you use it, it's a tool, the same way you use a hammer or you use a fork to eat. I want to use money like it's a tool. And I believe that if I can change the way this generation uses money, basically sees it for a tool, understands the rules of the game, understands how to apply those rules to their own life to maximize what they need in their life. If I can do that and I can rally enough people to be behind that mission, we can quite literally change the world. I'm a firm believer of that. I know that every life that I change, whose relationship changes with money, that they no longer view money as a source of fear, anxiety, worry, lack of clarity. And now they see this they come from a place of peace, abundance. Um, I know that if I do that in somebody's life, I've changed their generation, or not me, I've helped that person change their generational tree forever. And if I can do that in enough lives, then the ripple effect and the multiplication effect of that, I can't quantify.
Mr. Matt, what are the most common misconceptions people have about money that hold them back?
The most common one that I see is that people believe that they can't understand anything about it. They believe it's too complex and it's too over their head, and unless they've got a family pedigree in economics and they went to a top business school and they studied it and they live and breathe the markets and investing and all the things, unless that's the case in their life, they'll never be able to figure it out. So they feel like, why should I even try? So it feels like this big, scary, unattainable thing that they need somebody like me in their life in order to succeed. Which, funny for me to say, given that I've been a financial advisor for a decade and have helped thousands of people, they don't need me in their life to have a healthy financial life. I serve as a guide, I serve as a coach, I serve as somebody to help accelerate goals, get to places faster, bigger, stronger places. But you don't need me necessarily to be in your life in order to have a financially successful life.
Definitely. And how can someone identify if their current relationship with money is unhealthy or limiting?
If you think about your credit card, your bank statement, your paycheck, your bills, and you're worried, you're anxious, you're reluctant to even open the app because you're afraid of what it might be, you're confused why you can't ever put any money away, you're confused why you make so much money but there doesn't seem to be any left at the end of every month, then you probably have some degree of an unhealthy relationship with money that needs to be looked at.
Mm, definitely. What role does mindset play in reshaping how we view and manage money?
Mindset's big for sure. I think that you need to understand how it works. So that's the education piece. But then you need to understand how somebody with a healthy relationship with money, how they think about it, how they view it, what their wiring is, their mental wiring. I look at the example of, and I don't know the exact statistic, but I think it's something like 1 in 5 lottery winners are bankrupt or lose it all within 10 years or something like that. I think about that, and I think it's because those lottery winners didn't necessarily understand what a wealthy mindset was like, how to embody the behaviors and the habits and the mindsets of somebody that has a, a significant level of wealth. And then all of a sudden they do. They get this windfall of multiple zeros and commas in their bank account, yet they didn't do the work to embody the mindset and understand who that is. And psychologically speaking, our subconscious really works to get back to what it knows and what it's comfortable with. And if you have not done the mental work, like you said, the mindset work of understanding, once I get to that destination, this is who I need to become, and work to get to become that person before the money shows up. Well, then if the money shows up first and you don't do the work really in rapid order, you're going to retreat back to what's comfortable, what you know. And that's why, I don't know, whatever that number is, 80% of lottery winners may go bankrupt or lose it all in the first 10 years.
Mm, yes, they don't know how to spend their money. Yeah.
Right. Use their money. There you go. See?
Yes. How do you think changing one's relationship with money is a critical for achieving long-term success?
Well, I think it's critical because if you don't get a grip on it, it will always feel like you're swimming upstream. And if you always feel like there's a massive level of resistance in your life of any area, you will struggle to become the fullest version of yourself in that area. So getting a handle on your finances is critical to be able to grow into that person that I believe you were created to be. I think we're all created to do something great on this earth. And if you are limited in any area of your life that matters, you're being held back, then logic says it's really difficult to you to become the fullest version while being held back.
How can someone shift from scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset when it comes to finances, Mr. Matt?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that because I just want to make mention of this. I'm not against positive affirmations. I think those are really powerful. Those are really valuable. Um, what I am against is writing a positive affirmation on a post-it note on the bathroom mirror and reading it every day and then not doing anything different. Like by somehow some virtue of saying the words out loud and then doing the same thing you do every day is going to change your life. I think those people are a little bit misled and confused. I think that's a little bit crazy. If you do the same thing every day except say one different sentence in the morning, your life is unlikely to really dramatically change. The thought is that that positive affirmation helps you embody a new mindset, a new persona, and that new person does different things than that old person, you know? So
Yes.
I think that in order to shift your mindset with money, you need to do things differently than you have been doing. The first thing that I see that it takes some time, but it is the most effective, is learn how the game of money works. As I've learned how it works, meaning I've really intimately understood debt and debt tools and how interest rates change and why and how to use them to my advantage and different opportunities to use it or not use it. Understand investments. Why do you invest certain ways in certain things? And I'm not saying become like a savvy stock picker or a savvy venture capitalist or a private equity or a real estate person. I'm saying conceptually understand the role these things play in people's lives by studying the people who do the thing. And then you start to get this picture of like, you do it like this. That's kind of similar to how this person does it, but they're a little bit different. But they're in real estate and you're in stocks. But I can see the general picture is this is the goal, and this is how you use your investments to further your life and your mission. As you start to understand that, the best analogy I can give you that I've come up with so far is I liken it to those people going, well, all of us, when we were in 8th grade going into our freshman year of high school. When we were going into our freshman year of high school, most of us were probably pretty nervous because there was a lot of unknown. Like, I don't know where my classroom's going to be, my teachers, my students, all the things, my classmates, I mean. And then after that first week, you basically 80% of those fears are gone, because after that first week, you understand where your classroom is, your teachers, you know who they are. Anyway, it's like in money, most people spend their entire life as an incoming freshman because they never take the time to learn the things like you learned in that first week of high school. They never take the time to learn things about money. And if they don't learn about it, it just stays this unknown fear in their life. So I think that's the biggest practical piece of advice I can give. The other one is I would strongly suggest considering giving a little away. Because as you are voluntarily giving some away, and I'm not saying you have to make yourself go broke. I don't even care what the amount is. I'm saying the act of giving that thing that once had its hold on you, that caused fear, anxiety, worry inside you because you didn't want to lose it. If you're voluntarily giving it up, your subconscious starts to rewire your emotional mindset toward it because it says, hey guys, we're okay actually giving this thing away, I guess. So we don't have to be fearful of it. We don't have to worry about it. Subconsciously behind the scenes, that rewiring is taking place. So learn about it and don't be scared to give some away. Come up with a disciplined giving strategy. Actually will probably change your relationship with it more than anything else.
Definitely. And Mr. Matt, as an entrepreneur and founder of Reconstructing Wealth, what are your short term and long term goals?
My short-term goals, well, for the business is to hire some people by next summer. Um, I can't do this alone. We talked about that mission of changing the way a generation uses money. That is not a one-person goal and a one-person mission. So my goal is to rally some troops to join me on this mission, both advisors and even more clients. I mean, people who believe in the cause and the mission, where we're going, and using money effectively in their own lives and changing their family trees forever. That's the short-term goal within the next year, to hire at least 3 people. The long-term goal, and this may or may not happen, and I'm not afraid of setting big goals. When I was 6, I wanted to play in the major leagues, and I chased it for 20 years and played in the Royals farm system. I never quite got there to the major leagues, but I'm not afraid of chasing a big, long, potentially unattainable goal. The big long-term vision is, I would like Reconstructing Wealth to become a household name. I'd like it to be synonymous with generously living and generously stewarding our money, in the same way that Dave Ramsey's a household name and his name is synonymous with debt free. You know, he owns the word debt free. He owns that phrase. It would be really cool if at the end of my life I look back and Reconstructing Wealth owns the generosity word. That would be phenomenal.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Matt, and looking
Thanks.
forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be entrepreneur as well as a founder?
Well, the piece of advice is, if fear is driving your decision making, it's not going to work. I think that you've got to be motivated by something bigger. And a lot of people are fearful and either don't start, or they're in it and they become workaholics because they're fearful to lose it all. Fear is a motivator, it's just a cheap one and it's unsustainable over a long period of time. So instead, I think about, I've heard it said, this guy named Rory Vaden, who founded a company called Brand Builders, he and his wife, AJ Vaden, they say your why is often a who. So I would think about, who are you put on this earth to serve? What have you triumphed over in your life? How have you solved those problems in your own life? And then how can you do that for people? I think that if you can answer that question, serve people in a way that you are uniquely gifted, then you should probably go and do that, because the world needs it.
The world is needed for sure. And Mr. Matt, can you recommend a book that influenced your journey?
This journey in particular, man, I've read hundreds of books in the last handful of years, but the one that really influenced me to become an advisor is the most appropriate to mention. It's called Dancing with the Analysts by David Malik. It's a book that details exactly how we invest at this firm. It was the way that we invested at the old firm I worked at. And that's how they recruited me to work there. That's what ended up sealing the deal for me. I was like, man, this is a cool way to invest in individual stocks. So I will say, Daniel, that if anybody is listening to this and they want a copy of that book, find me on Instagram. It's just my name, at Matt Morizio, and send me a DM that you heard this podcast interview, and I'm happy to mail you a copy of that book. No charge, no strings attached. I just have seen, literally, it changed the trajectory of my life, because I learned about an investment strategy which led to a job opportunity, which led to no longer a career. I feel like it's a calling. Without that book, I don't know that I would have jumped into this. So I would say, if anybody wants to read about this investment strategy, I'm happy to send that, and who knows what role that book might play in your life.
Yes. And thank you for that recommendation, Mr. Matt. And I hope people listening or watching right now will read it, and for sure you will be empowered. What
Thanks.
advice would you give to someone who feels overwhelmed or ashamed about their financial situation?
I would tell them that you've got to get over that. I mean, that's a little bit of tough love. I don't mean that insensitively. I've been in situations where I couldn't even feed my family. I had to borrow my mother's credit card. So I get what it means to feel worried, feel embarrassed, not feel like you're doing enough, like not feel like you're good enough, deserving enough. But I will tell you that action will solve that problem. Meaning you got to take steps forward and break down those insecurities by actually seeking out some help. I mean, talk to somebody. And if you don't want to talk to a human, put it into ChatGPT, put it into some whatever AI platform you prefer. List out your issues, tell them you don't know where to go, and ask for recommendations. But what you can't do is sit and feel embarrassed and overwhelmed and not do anything. You can't stay still.
Yes, do something, people. Do something.
Do something.
And Mr. Matt, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 is in second season, and my
Awesome.
food 101 in its fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast is Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in its third season, and my movie 101 review and music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101. Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. Mr. Math, for listeners looking to start this journey, what's one actionable step they can take today to improve their relationship with money?
Well, the first step they could take today is, I would say, get an understanding of what your financial picture looks like today, meaning spend a little time to figure out what what's going out the door. Most everybody knows how much they make and how much comes in the door, but take some time to put a spotlight on what's going out. That's often the starting point for all planning. How much you can invest, how much you can give, save, all the things really stem from making sure your needs are met. And if you just don't know where the holes in the bucket are, the holes will stay in the bucket. So the first step would be take some time to understand, where am I spending my money? Where is it going? And then know how much that it costs to be you. And once you have that number, there's clarity on it. And then once you have clarity on the numbers, you can change the numbers potentially to work in your favor if you need to.
Mr. Math, for a brief description, can you tell us about your book, Myth, and the other one? What is it?
That one's Dancing with the Analysts. Yeah, that's the investment strategy. So that's a fictional story that does a phenomenal job of really educating the reader on not only the finance industry. It does a good job of that, like the type of personas you'll meet, the mutual fund person, the real estate person, because it's a story about a boy who just received an inheritance, but his father, who gave him the inheritance, kind of put a carrot at the end of on a stick at the end of a year. He said, if you invest this money and it grows a certain amount, then there's this much more money at the end. Or you could just take a smaller amount in year one and not invest it. So of course he's like, shoot, I want to try to get that carrot at the end of the stick. So it's his journey of interviewing different people that could potentially invest on his behalf to get him to where he needs to get to. And in his journey, he meets a guy named Johnny Long, who is the investor that he ends up choosing. And as you read it, you'll learn the exact investment strategy I use. That's how I got into the industry. So you'll learn the individual stock strategy, why we buy what we buy, when we sell what we sell, how we reinvest once we do sell stuff. And Myth is similar. It's a different story, but conceptually it's the same idea of, there's a story form of a situation going on where people were arguing of not using bonds and instead investing in certain utility stocks. And at the end of the day, details the other strategy we use, the more conservative strategy. But once somebody reads those 2 books, they can tell me how I'm going to invest their money.
Mr. Matt Morizio, thank you so
Thank you a
much
lot.
for sharing your
Thank you.
knowledge and
Thank you.
wisdom to the world.
That's great.
So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, or your books, your advocacy, your business, or whatever your projects that you're doing?
Yeah, if you have more questions, if any of this piques some interest and you want to learn more, the best spot is probably Instagram. Find me on Instagram. It's just my name, at Matt Morizio. If you follow me and send me a DM, I can serve you however best I can. Or you can check out my website, which Daniel, I appreciate you sharing during this interview. It's just reconstructingwealth.com.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Matt Morizio, because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering books to come, more and more and more business to come, and for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Matt, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It's been an honor.
More to come, people. See you soon.